All right. We're out of school, so I sit tall, so I'm on this like little teeny stool. So. But it's Diana, and this is
Tania.
Yeah, and she is an upper elementary guide,
Yes.
Montessori guide. We're gonna talk to her about her experience with PMI's elementary Montessori teacher certification training. Woo! All right. I always like to get to know people's background. How did you even get to Montessori in the first place?
Well, I got to Montessori as a parent. So when I was pregnant with Camila, I started doing research. I knew about Montessori, never fully delve into it.
Okay.
So I started doing more research, and I have an education background since I was a high school teacher and volleyball coach. And once it was time to make a transition back into the educational field, I applied to Montessori school. So
Okay, she's actually leaving out the detail here that she was actually going through med school
Yes,
too,
I was.
and you decided to kind of change
My
careers
yeah.
and whatnot,
Exactly.
which we have people do
Yeah.
in any of our diploma courses actually. So I think that's pretty neat. So you found it through that way, and then how did you get to training though?
So
This particular training,
yes. So I was already leading in upper elementary. I was co-leading with Maria at the time, and I was also training in a different school. So I was actually already in a Montessori training from a nearby university.
Yes.
However, I felt that there were many things that I wasn't learning. So there were a lot of holes here and there that weren't really. I wasn't feeling that I was gaining the most out of this particular training. So that's when the first cohort invitation went out. And I looked at it, and it seemed like a one in a lifetime opportunity, and I just went for it. So I essentially did both trainings at the same time.
Okay. Well, speaking of the training itself, I know that you're a mom, you're a working guide, you're doing the training at the same time. How were you balancing all of it?
Well, as much as possible, right? I think that that's the beautiful portion of PMI is how inspired you get when you get new lessons and when you get new materials. So as the second I saw a material or lesson that I could present in the classroom, I would do it. So I would try to. It's not as if I was practicing with my students, but after preparing for the lesson, I would use those very recently learned lessons that I had fresh in my mind, and I would present it to my students. I would prepare the classroom, prepare the lessons, the materials to have them already prepared, ready in the environment. So I would try to incorporate what I was learning right away into my curriculum. That helped greatly because it also gave me more confidence, especially when there were tests coming and portions of the practicum where I needed to demonstrate that I've mastered those lessons and delivering the lessons appropriately. I've had enough time practicing them so that it was done correctly.
So you were actually a lead guide basically while getting your training at the same time and doing it. And so just for those out there, it's actually in a way kind of easy then to get your practice teaching hours because you're a lead guide.
Right. Yes. Right? The practicum hours were not an issue. At all.
How about observations? How did you figure out? Were able to go to someone else's classroom?
Right. So the observations, carving time for observations is always challenging, but obviously because you're doing the training, it really creates a habit. On making sure that that's already part of the environment, so it's sort of supposed to seamlessly just be part of your daily routine. So I would get observations, especially when I saw I was having a challenge or I would observe something that needed tweaking with a particular student. I would take those opportunities to sit, observe, record, and use that as part of my practicum. And at the time, because we were really buddied up with the other teachers that were going through the training at the same time, we would use that time to chat and exchange rooms and observe each other's rooms, and that way also help each other with observations.
So if you're any school that actually has other teachers, it's really great to have a buddy system or someone for accountability. Right?
Especially when you're planning on using some of your weekends, like your Saturdays. We have our Saturdays guided practice. Those started with us as well. Mr. Nick and I were super close over Saturdays practicing and delivering lessons and recording. So
okay, can you give me a general sense, like an estimate of how much like a time it takes for like learning a lesson? Like I know you view it and read it about it online, an hour or so, and then you have to practice it and etc. So like all of that, how long does it take to learn a lesson?
I guess it depends on what you feel your area of strength is.
That's true. Maybe like the backgrounds you come
or the language,
That's true.
right?
Okay.
But when it came to math, I think that what makes a difference is actually doing it with the student. So,
the
actual materials with the student, because they will pose you with the questions and the things that will actually test how comfortable you are with the lesson. If I was to say time-wise, I think that practicing delivering a lesson at least 3 or 4 times makes it solid.
Okay.
So I've heard from other teachers that they're watching the videos for them was enough, or reading it was enough. I particularly just watched the videos and delved into practicing it. And the template was just there as the lesson plan was just there as guidance. But the videos helped tremendously. It's just how to move the materials, how to manipulate it in front of the students makes it easier, especially for people that maybe English is their second language. So reading the template might not be as clear as watching the video. So it just made it easier to practice.
This is actually really helpful because I think you explained beautifully what I try to explain to like interested folks about the program is that it's not all online. Some people think it is, you know, and actually the really meat and bones, I believe, of the certification is this practice. The practicum. Actually, like you said,
in action.
Like the children are actually really going to be the ones that make you think through what you, in theory,
are learned.
Right? Okay. So what's been like your favorite lesson to learn so far?
Oh, wow. Okay. I am a math person. And I love math. I love science. Those are my strong backgrounds. But anything in math just blows your mind when you come from a traditional setting because you've learned to memorize, right? But the one lesson that really blew my mind was the Pythagorean theorem. So there is a whole board where you can physically see the theorem in action, actually see that you actually create a square out of the sides of a triangle, and that eventually, no matter what shape you create, which each side of the triangle, when you add those two, you create that same double sides in the hypotenuse. So you have all the materials to this crazy theorem you memorize in school, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which you never understood what it meant. But kids from 5th and 6th grade can play with it and really understand it, which is amazing.
I really wish I had learned, you know, in the Montessori way, because honestly, the only thing I remember is like, when I like see it walking around a corner, I'm like, I can cut through because the hypotenuse, the addition of the two sides. I remember
always
that part.
That's
all I remember. Okay, well, really, let's end off with just like, where do you see getting the certification can take you? Like, kind of your growth and from here, what do you see for yourself?
Wow, that's a big question. I think that. For me in particular, I think now that I'm in my 3rd year at Cycles officially.
Yeah, you gotta wrap it up.
Third
year,
I am seeing how just the environment is just flowing so beautifully. So what is next for me is to see how to implement things from the local community into the school. So thinking about how we're in a city and how to implement things like a gardening system for a city, or just implement things where the students get out of the little Montessori beautiful environment and see it also outside and applicated. Apply. Apply. Thank you.
That's right.
Aplicar in Spanish. But seeing what other projects can take our program from how amazing we're doing right now to just unbelievable, right? So seeing all those little things that you can just take off with, like projects like gardening project in an urban area, right? So yeah, I think that that will be my next step right now. That's sort of a project that I want to tweak over the summer and implement it the following year. So.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add, maybe for like a interested person that in this program?
From someone that has had the opportunity to see 2 different Montessori training programs, I want to say that the PMI training is one of a kind. It truly is as complete as you are gonna come across. It's not just teaching you the lessons and teaching you the content of the material you have to teach the students, but it's classroom management, it's professional development, it's knowing how to really encompass the whole child. The way Montessori intended it to. So it's just a beautiful program to go through.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time, Tanya.
Thank you.